By the first week of May 1945, the city of Berlin had transitioned from the political nerve center of a continent-spanning empire to a smoldering graveyard of brick and iron. The Battle of Berlin, which began on April 16th, had culminated in some of the most concentrated urban warfare in human history. The video captures the city at Stunde Null, 0 hour. The precise moment when the machinery of the Nazi state ceased to function and the long, painful process of occupation and reconstruction began. On May 2nd, 1945, General Helmuth Weidling, the commander of the Berlin defense area, crossed the front lines to unconditionally surrender the city to the Soviet 8th Guards Army. The footage records the immediate aftermath of this order. For the soldiers shown in the film, the surrender was a moment of profound cognitive dissonance. They had been told for months that the Wunderwaffen, wonder weapons, would save them or that the Western Allies would join them to fight the Bolsheviks. Instead, they emerged from cellars and U-Bahn tunnels to find a city occupied by nearly 1.5 million Soviet troops. The columns of prisoners of war represent the last levy of a dying regime, illustrating how the professional Wehrmacht had been hollowed out by years of multi-front attrition. This procession forms a demographic tragedy that spans 3 generations of German society. Among the ranks are battle-hardened veterans, men who had survived the brutal retreats of the Eastern Front only to be cornered and trapped within the capital's final pocket of resistance. Shuffling alongside them are the members of the Volkssturm, or People's Storm, a desperate militia of men aged 16 to 60 who often went into battle wearing nothing more than civilian overcoats marked by military armbands. Perhaps most striking are the children of the Hitler Youth. Some as young as 12 or 13, these boys had been pressed into service as tank hunters in the city's final hours. In the aftermath, they are seen standing confused and terrified, orphans of a collapsed ideology amidst the smoking ruins of their own schools and homes. The 4K restoration highlights the physical state of Berlin, which had been hit by over 450,000 tons of explosives by the end of the war. Key locations visible in the film, such as the Reichstag and the Brandenburg Gate, were not just damaged, they were scarred by direct artillery fire and hand-to-hand combat. The Reichstag, in particular, had become a symbol of Soviet victory after the famous hoisting of the Red Banner over its roof on April 30th. In the footage, the charred remains of the Tiergarten Berlin Central Park show a landscape stripped of its trees, which were cut down for firewood or destroyed by shelling. The historical reality for the men in these lines was grim. Following the surrender, the Soviet Union claimed approximately 180,000 prisoners from the Berlin garrison alone. They were marched to collection points at the edges of the city before being loaded into freight cars. For many, the destination was the Soviet labor camp system, the Gulag, where they would be used to rebuild the Soviet infrastructure destroyed by the German invasion. Historical records indicate that the last of these German POWs did not return home until 1955, 10 years after this footage was recorded. Interspersed with the military columns are the civilians. With no running water, electricity, or functioning government, the Trümmerfrauen, rubble women, began the monumental task of clearing the streets by hand. The video captures the beginning of a humanitarian crisis where starvation and disease were the primary threats. This part of history is a primary source of the end of an era. It documents the total defeat of a regime and the physical erasure of the Greater Germanic Reich. It serves as a visual testament to the consequences of total war, preserved now in high definition to remind the modern world of the cost of systemic collapse.